Welcome. Ziggy1X here with another NieR reincarnation video. I went back through my YouTube catalog and it has been a minute since I've made one of these. The last video I uploaded specifically for NieR reincarnation was for the end of the sun and moon. And I had pre-recorded that video a week before, so let's go ahead and dive into some news and predictions because we've got a big month ahead of us. So first thing you'll see going on here is I've got my farming team running in the background for the floor 10 of the dungeon, the new dungeon with all of our favorite really awful enemies that like to blind you. So I basically just set up a team that was really tanky with a little bit of damage and really resistant to light. And so that's why I have EX Lavania in here, as well as Frozen Heart Rion in here because he has a similar resistance to light. He also has a very useful character skill that blinds the enemy, and EX Lavania also has that skill on his weapons. So I'm basically in here just blinding stuff up and having a good old time doing it because there is one enemy in this dungeon that does not blind you, and it's this guy right here. So yeah, that's a thing. Anyways, once we get past this, and by the way, I absolutely, as I mentioned in my end of chapter 2 video, I absolutely love this boss. I love the aesthetic. I love that she's veiled and that her eyeballs are actually sitting out on the side of her. You think she's blind because she's veiled, but actually her eyes see everything. It's very cool. So let's go ahead and jump into a few things. First of all, we had our first regular pool costume released, and that is in Plague Doctor Demios, or Bloodless Demios. And he is also a barista, as his character skill will note. So he's a coffee-making Plague Doctor Demios, which I find humorous, to say the least. Let's go ahead and bounce out of this here. This is going to be one of my regular unpolished videos. And by the way, as an aside, two things. I'm uploading a video later tonight. I've got a schedule to release after this one because I actually wanted to make some NieR content on my NieR channel, but I did find a really cool video, or at least I think it's really cool, from my past work in mining. That's going to be uploaded at midnight tonight, or right at the turn of the day. And I hope you guys have fun with that. That's a blast from my past. It's probably it's one of the first edited videos that I ever made. So again, it's 10 years ago and it's made on, I think, an iPhone 5. So video quality is not going to be great, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a blast from my past. So without any further ado, let's do a few things. Let's first talk about this new costume we're getting, what we should be doing, how we should be planning our resources leading up to the anniversary, which has been confirmed again to be dropping on the 18th of this month. And let's just take a few look at the other things. First of all, the notices. So if we go over here, this is the first thing I wanted to glom onto here real quickly. I don't even want to talk about the monthly packs. I don't want to talk about the shop. The shop needs to be fixed. My next video, which is the second point I was going to make, that is going to be saving NieR Reincarnation Part 3. It's still in the works. I'm still writing it. This is a tough thing for me because I want to make sure that the plan works. And unlike some people out there who are constantly doomsdaying and saying, 6 months ago or a year ago that the game was going to shut down and it never shut down, and saying now the game's going to shut down and all this other stuff. That's not my thing. I'm here to enjoy the game, and if the game shuts down, it shuts down. It's not going to happen though anytime soon, and there's a couple reasons for that. But it's one of those kinds of things. If you want to find I can't think of a better way to disincentivize players than to say, oh, by the way, the game's going to shut down, so why invest in it? And it's just a personal pet peeve of mine that's been growing on me. But I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to just go ahead and jump into this. And we're going to talk a little bit about what has been announced. Also, developers, fix your damn shop. Second thing, let's go ahead and talk about the Mama Points update. Now, this is very interesting to me because if you read down here in the comments, it's saying moving forward, you can acquire up to 3,500 Mama Points per month. Okay, so once we get done with our remnants, which they did add 3 more remnants into the Mama shop this month, But once we get done with those, what else is going to be added to that shop? Because if we're getting 3,500 points every month, we're going to be able to fully clear out all those remnants in 3 months. So what comes after that? So this is an excellent opportunity for them to inject some cool things into the shop. And again, I'm really hoping that we're going to be starting to get, with the 2nd anniversary, and this is my prediction, that with the 2nd anniversary, we're going to be getting the news on generic awakening stones or fragments of generic awakening stones or things along those lines. This is something that needs to happen in this game, and I think that 2nd anniversary is a perfect opportunity to inject that in there, because it's been 6 months since the last anniversary celebration, which was the global 1-year anniversary. And that has given us a chance to really appreciate the really amazing celebratory costumes that we got last time around, to also have too many limited banners since then, and really to have that need for those generic awakening stones. But this is a perfect opportunity to inject that among other things throughout the game. They won't make it easy, but they need to make it possible. So this is a good thing that we're going to be getting. The next thing is we have our new record event on now. And by the way, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say this welfare Priet is actually a really good unit. I've been using it, and setting aside the bonuses you get in the record event for just using this costume as a farming costume. By the way, it does better than my Lacrima Lavania. So that's saying something. This is actually a pretty good costume. Of course, it does have those bonuses because of the event, but this is an excellent costume to put in there, especially if you're struggling with the event, if you're a newer player. And I have seen several newer players coming in on the Reddit community and a few other places, and some returning players and whatnot. Don't turn up your nose at these welfare costumes. These are good costumes that we're getting. The debris is, I've seen some of these welfare costumes with really good debris, but the debris on this one is pretty meh. But if you just look at the stat line, this is a good stat line. It has bold vigor, and character skills is what it is. But this is a decent costume, and just to put it in comparison, this costume has higher attack than EX Priet. EX Priet, I think, has about 6,100. So that's saying something. So this is a very good costume. Don't turn it down. Also, we've got bonuses for our weapons. These bonuses, if you remember that last announcement, they're going to be sticking around for a little bit longer. And so I want to say for 4 weeks after the costume is originally released. So let's go ahead and bounce back out of this real quickly, and let's take a look at our newest and hottest costume. And this is going to be our Bloodless Gunman, our Plague Doctor Demios. Now, first, let's take a look at this weapon right here, which I was lucky enough to pull on a YOLO. I am very thrilled about that because it has 2 really useful abilities. It has Tempest Boon, increasing your wind damage by 30%, and it has Tempest Haste, decreasing the cooldown of your weapon skills by 10%. Now, the nice thing that these weapons bring, even though they're elemental locked, now I have 2 of these weapons. I have the tuning fork and this one. And that means I've got a 60% Tempest Boon and a 20% Tempest Haste cooldown on my abilities between those 2 weapons. This is really useful because the more you can use your weapon abilities, the more damage your characters are doing. And then in addition to that, if they have that extra 30% and 30% stacking Tempest Boon on top of it, this is a lot of extra damage. And I'll put it this way. You have your EX weapons, which have also the haste on them, but also some of the most desirable ones are the ones that have that 20% crit rate. That crit rate is easy enough to get from memoirs, but the memoirs don't give you the same overall increases to damage that, say, an ability like a Tempest Boon or a Bold Vigor does, or a Caged Vigor, or anything along those lines, because these are multipliers on damage. These are big percentage increases, whereas if you're getting a percentage of attack, that's based off of your base attack. And it's a much smaller increase to damage. Overall, these are amazing weapons. And we should be really taking a good look at these. Even though they are elemental locked, they are very, very useful. This other one isn't really, it's a good weapon, but it's a 3-star, so let's just leave that for what it is. Let's take a look at the main prize here on this banner. First of all, the debris. Defense up by 5% and agility up by 5%. Okay, these are both timed, so that's actually a pretty decent agility bump, even though you want to see it at the 10% because there is really no 5% timed agility bump in the game except for in the memoirs if you have a 2-set. And so this kind of, if you're trying to get up to that 100% timed agility mark, so you've got, say, Fractured Noel, for example, or this guy. Let's take a look at this guy's other ability here real quickly since we're on it. Agility up by 40% for 60 seconds. So what this means is that if you have 2 subjugation weapons and you have his ability, you're already at 100% because it's 30%, 30%, and then his 40%. If you wanted to do 1 subjugation weapon like his main hand, the wind gun, and then you wanted to do, say, another wind weapon that also has Tempest Boon on it, or Bold Vigor or something along those lines, also has the timed agility, but it'd be only 20%, then you'd need that debris or memoir set from someone else in the party to give you that extra 10% to get him up to 100% timed agility. And this doesn't really cut it for me. That debris doesn't really do it for me. So that's not really a desirable debris. The real prize in this guy is his Awakening 3, and that is where his increased chance of normal attack will be a 3-chain. This is good. He's being compared a lot to Fractured Noel, and for good reason. Similar stats. Actually, he's got chonkier stats. But similar sorts of abilities, similar kind of feel. The wind subjugation gun is better than the water subjugation spear for a lot of reasons. So he is in a lot of ways a more desirable package, even though his base agility, don't be fooled by this 1100 because you have those hidden stats that they get from their rank levels. And he doesn't get the same rank stats and agility that Noel does, so there is a bit of an evening out. And the way I've heard it told is that basically if you stuck these two side by side with identical agility stats, it would be very difficult to see who went first because of the way Noel's rank bonus factors into things and his is not on the agility side. So this is a good character though. And I haven't gone against very many of them in Arena, but I'm sure I will. The reason why I think people are holding off on this guy to a large degree is because we are right around the corner from Anniversary. This is a bait, okay? This guy is going to be on a banner for the next 4 weeks. He's going to be in the permanent pool after that at some point. And so there will be a good chance that if you're really chasing someone, you're gonna eventually get this guy. Now, when you compare him to Fractured Noel and Abstract Yuri, I just can't bring myself to chase this guy. And again, I'm very excited. I'm getting pumped for Anniversary, but I just can't bring myself to chase this guy because I've already got 2 great snipers. They're both only at Awakening 1, so I need a lot of work to put into them, and I'm hoping that I'm able to pick up a little bit of the slack on that right around Anniversary because we usually get a lot of opportunities to pull. And I'm saving up gems, I'm saving up tickets. I've got a lot of summons saved up right now. I'm at like 250 summons right now. Right at this moment, I could do 250 summons. So I'm hoping to get up to close to 400 by the time Anniversary comes around so that I could pity twice. But we shall see how that works out. So this guy is very good, but I would say hold off because there are better things coming. And the way the developers have pushed the game is we need to be focusing more on the limited banners, unfortunately, and we can't focus as much on the units that will be staying around in the regular pool because we will eventually get them. So what were some other things that we needed to talk about here? We talked about the new dungeon. The new memoir sets are actually very good. I like one in particular, and that's the one that increases this guy right here, the chance to do multiple hits. I actually have that slotted onto my Griff in my Arena team. So my Bloody Griff, because he has a chance of making himself tougher or he has a chance of doing other things. I've got a pretty decent Arena sniper on my team. I still, by the way, have not pulled on this guy right here. I'm still holding off on it. I want to see what happens during the anniversary. And by the way, it's still the advice that I have for anyone else who's listening. I would still hold off on this guy. I'm still leaning towards the celebratory Marie because one more copy of her would get me her water debris, which is very powerful, and it would be great on my Fractured Noel and Arena as a sniper. So, but I am still holding off. I am resisting temptation. It is February 1st today, so we had the monthly reset, which means you go in there, get the shop tickets and everything else. Basically start saving up for that second anniversary. Predictions for second anniversary. I'm kind of hoping we get Lavania. I think we need a celebratory Lavania. I think that'd be really great. But I'm almost certain we're going to get Udil and Serapha because they are the new units, and it's similar to what happened with Marie and Yuri the last anniversary. We got them almost immediately after we got their stories. So that's probably the way this is going to work. I think you and Hina are going to be coming after that, and we'll see what happens with that. But we still are missing out of the regular pool. We're still missing Mocha Joe and Vanilla Jane to make them celebratory units, and of course Hina and Yuzuki. And then we've got our two new units, Yu and Serapha, Udil and Serapha and Lavania. So we still have plenty to pull from for coming anniversaries, and there will be more characters introduced as the game goes on. Now, I want to make a separate video about some predictions I've got for the next season, because there were some really telling hints that we got that I picked up on slightly in my video, but there were some really telling hints that we got at the end of the chapter that kind of point us in a direction for where we're going to be going. I have a theory running right now that the weapon memories are actually the memories of people who have lived, people and things who have lived, and they're being turned into intelligent weapons because there was an implication that there is going to be a war with Earth, and which implies that the cage is not on Earth, which in my theory, my Into the Cage video, my theory is that the cage is actually the collected memories of humanity made by the recorders that's being housed on the moon, in theory. So, things can happen that can dissuade me from that, but that's my current running theory, and I really haven't seen anything to convince me otherwise away from that. I will also point out one more thing. This is something I found very interesting. I finally started using my YouTube studio, my statistics, and I realized that 65% of the people who are watching my videos are not subscribed to my channel. And I realized also I'm very close to 500 subscribers. And if you want me to get to that 1,000 mark, all it would take is the people who watch my videos to just subscribe. So this is going to be my shameless plug at the end of the video saying, if you enjoy what you're seeing, I would love a subscription. I do make regular content when I'm not completely up to my eyeballs in work. This is a side hustle for me. I do enjoy it, but it's just basically a thing that I do for fun. So when work is happening, when family is happening, that obviously takes the front seat. But when I have time to actually sit down and enjoy this and produce some content, I do. I take time to do it. And I plan on continuing to make NieR Reincarnation content for a long time moving forward. So please leave a like on the video, but also subscribe. That really does, I think that's a cool thing. I'm not sure how much it'll get me. I may pick up a little extra change from the YouTube once I hit 1,000 subscribers, and that'd be neat. But it's not really about that for me. It never is, because with what I'm doing, I can't make a lifestyle out of it. I've got other things that I need to do to support myself and my family. So this is just for funsies. But anyways, I hope this was a informative video for you. A little bit of prediction, a little bit of this, that, and the other. And we are now knocking on the door of 20 minutes. So I am going to leave it here. And I hope everyone is having a wonderful week. Hold off. Don't pull on Demios. Just hold off, guys. We've got really good things coming around the corner. And I will be releasing my Saving NieR Reincarnation Part 3 shortly. It is in the works, and guys, it's happening. It's just, my gosh, it's been a project. So I don't know if I can really describe how much of a project this has been for me. It has been a chore to just make sure that I get it right. So I'm going to leave it there. Hope you guys are having a great time. Peace out, y'all. Have a great night. Bye.